I've grown up eating this food. That red coating on Babybel, what is that?
Wax.
That's wax.
You can wax poetically about it. No, it's wax, and it's a ritual.
Uh-huh.
So the opening of a Babybel is a thing, right? And
It is a thing.
It's a thing, and people love it. And it's almost, the unwrapping of it is almost as good as eating it. And what you do with the wax after. And there's not a single person that opens a Babybel that doesn't squeeze the wax and mold and shape the wax. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's wild.
There
and
is something to opening. There is something to opening it. Like even as a kid,
big time,
reopening
big time. And it's again, a lot of 160-year family, owned company. A lot of the manufacturing processes are proprietary. I was in Brookings, South Dakota, for the expansion of Babybel.
Sure.
About 3 weeks ago, and because demand is very, very strong, and so I went to the factory and watched how it was made. It was just unbelievable. Fresh milk from South Dakota. Just comes right in, and it's basically milk, cultures, and a pinch of salt, 3 ingredients, 1 cup of milk to 1 Babybel, which is crazy when you think about it. The Babybel's this big. But I watched the cheese curd gets pressed into little mini Babybels, and it goes into a brine river, which is basically salt water.
Yeah.
And it floats, and they dance on this river, and then they get picked up, and they get put in the wax. And they hung to dry on the wax.
Crazy to watch.
It's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And then they get put into the net, and off they go. So really, really cool.
Why wax? Like when you're starting. So you just started this job in February. I haven't seen you physically in a while. You and I interact on LinkedIn.
Sure.
But are you spending time in like the Bel historical? This is a 160-year-old company.
Yeah.
Are you spending time in the? They got some archives. Like, how does this stuff even? How did somebody decide to put a piece of cheese in wax?
So, I was just in France for the last week, at the headquarter office. Met with some family members that go way, way, way back. Right, it was their great grandfather who did this. And yeah, it used to be. Now everything's portion controlled. So way back when, you got big wheels of cheese, right?
Yep.
And you kind of cut, and so now we're actually making it easier. I mean, Laughing Cow, the triangles, right?
Which I want to ask you after this, but go ahead.
Yeah, and Babybel, mini Babybel, like the original Babybel wasn't baby. It was quite large.
It was actually a block of cheese.
And it was a block of cheese. So now, hey, imagine having individual servings. Imagine having portion controlled, right? You can just pop them at will versus having a giant cheese wheel, right? So that was amazing back in the day. It kind of it democratized it from a price perspective, but also it made the eating occasions expand. Because how many people want to go buy a giant wheel of cheese?
Nobody.
I probably would.
Not now. I mean, back on like a Little House on the Prairie days, but not now. I'm not having a block of cheese.
But this just opened up a world of possibility and a world of opportunity for consumers, by the way, to engage in the brand, right? So very, very pioneering. And I think we'll get into later on, hopefully, how these brands showed up, and particularly in Paris and in Europe. They're just iconic brands, right? And they show up in films and theater and highly creative, right? And I think we have a lot to learn in the U.S., right? I think our brands are beautiful. We grew up on them, but they're a little sleepy. Mm-hmm. I think they're like kind of sleeping beauties. So part of the challenge or opportunity in the U.S. is how do we elevate them, make them part of popular culture, have them show up in cool and creative places.
And we haven't had
it's Laughing Cow.
It's Laughing Cow.
These are... And Babybel, these have personality, right? Sure. And how do you unleash that personality?
We haven't had a breakthrough snack cheese moment, I would argue, since like early 90s. We had like string cheese. And I remember like pulling, and none of this is planned. I'm like, this stuff, I'm really thinking about like pulling off the string cheese. But that was like when I had Babybel for the first time, maybe I was like 8 or 9. That was, I'm like, wow, I don't know what this is, but it's really good.
It's good.
And it was just interesting. It was like almost like a toy.
It is a toy.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing about what do you do with the wax, and a lot of people save the wax. Have 30 of them.
I did save that. I used to save that.
I was coming, it was funny, I was coming
this is wild.
Into the U.S. from French Canada, Montreal. Sure. And there was you clear customs there, and there's kind of like a grumpy, customs guy. And he's like, what do you do? I said, I run Bel North America. He said, Bel North. Is that Babybel? And he finally had a little bit of a smile. He's like, my son loves that stuff. And he created a soccer ball size wax ball.
Oh my God.
That's how much Babybel is.
Yeah, so they got some free food.
And it was, the first time I think he smiled all day, right? So these brands also do kind of bring a joy. And I don't think we should minimize that or forget. Sure. Babybel is it's a fun thing to eat, right? It's not a serious brand, right? Laughing Cow. It's fun.
Yeah.
So these brands do bring joy, and we got to make sure that we preserve that. Particularly, we could all use a little bit more joy.
It's
at the
true.
moment.
True.
You
What
know
about
what I mean?
what about the yeah, no, I know that's for damn sure. What
Yeah.
about the so lastly, like on the form factor, like the laughing cow that like triangle cheese in a wheel. Like where does that even come from? Like who said I'm gonna put spreadable cheese in a triangle?
Yeah, it's just cool,
It
right?
is
Why not, right? And it's cut in perfect. It creates a circle,
yeah,
and they're cut in perfect
it's easy to
triangles.
pack and
And
travel.
it's easy to pack and travel. And by the way, spreadable cheese. A lot of people in the U.S. don't even know Laughing Cow is a great replacement for traditional cream cheese,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Oh,
there's a little bit of education.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never even thought about it.
Oh,
I usually
mean,
I would
it's
just eat it.
Well, you can eat it.
Yeah.
And the dill,
Yeah.
great.
Dill's great. It was awesome.
Jalapeno.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you haven't tried the jalapeno, you've led a sheltered life.
So
So you got to try it. But it's spreadable cheese, so
Yeah.
you can just put that on a bagel.
Uh-huh.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It elevates a bagel. Trust me.
That is
Or
wild.
toast.
So
you can eat it straight. You can spread it
Yeah.
if you want to, and it spreads kind of on anything that you'd like. A baguette, freaking bagel.
Yeah. You know why I
wherever
like
you
your
are.
stuff, guy? Because, and I'm not saying it's because you're sitting here, like the size of the stuff hasn't changed. I still go to the store, I see these products. These are exactly how I remember.
Yeah.
Every other product. I go down the cereal aisle, soup aisle. All these products have changed in size and ingredients and quality. I'm
Sure.
like, what the hell is going on here? This is awful stuff.
I know.
Your stuff hasn't.
No, we didn't do Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
No.
which never goes over well, by the way.
No.
And also, the other thing is the recipes haven't changed, which I think is beautiful. I think the other thing with this 160-year family heritage is, in the world of processed and what's ultra processed means, Babybel, right? It's milk, cultures, a pinch of salt. Go-Go Squeeze, it's fruit, right? In a pouch. It's 3 ingredients or less in probably 90% of our products. So these are very simply made, right? And so simple's good, real ingredients are good, portion control's good, nutrient density's good. I mean, Babybel, we just launched Babybel Pro, 5 grams of protein, 1 billion probiotics in that little.
Yeah, I
Babybel.
saw that. That's pretty good.
So, we launched the whole electrolyte and energy line with Go-Go Squeeze. So it's fruit, veg, and dairy,
Yeah.
right? Fruit, veg, and milk.
How big,
Right.
how big is the operation in the U.S.?
I'm a private company, but a little shy of 2.
Wow.
So it's big.
We have we were very
7
factories.
factories. Yeah,
7
yeah,
factories in the U.S.
Yeah, in North America. So the other thing about, and this is a heritage of Bel, which I love, is local production. So there's over 30 factories globally. And why is that? They believe in minimizing environmental footprint. So let's create factories closest to the consumer, closest to the source and ingredients. And so over 30 is a big footprint from a manufacturing perspective. It's a big deal. So I love local production, local communities, local sourcing. It just has a wonderful effect, right, on communities. So North America, we have 3 main offices, Montreal, Chicago, New York. We have 7 factories, and we have 260 products. And
260 products?
And you got 5 brand platforms, right? So it's a lot, right? I mean,
Where
you
else
look
are
at
these products being sold? Like what else do you sell, I
They're
guess,
everywhere.
overseas that are not in the U.S.?
Oh, there's a ton of stuff. I mean, I was just in France, and there's really, really cool innovations. I was in Canada, and there's a couple products that I want to import right away. And that's part of the Bel magic, right? When you look at the system, I'm going to China next week, right? They're making Laughing Cow ice cream.
Really?
If you think about Laughing Cow, it's a dairy brand.
Yeah.
You could do anything under it, right? Just go beyond the triangle.
Yeah. Wow.
Could easily go beyond the triangle. Laughing Cow. It's a dairy brand. What could you do with it, right? So they're doing really interesting things in China that could be interesting from an innovation perspective. So a lot of these brands you can stretch. I think they're pliable and malleable and big enough from a platform perspective that you can kind of innovate underneath them, right?
You're expanding what?
I mean,
one plant in the
Babybel
US?
you could get into, instead of cheese in there, could be a little dessert. I'm just making things up. What's inside that wax could be different.
It could be blueberry cheese.
Yeah.
Blueberry cheesecake.
Or cheesecake.
Yeah, cheesecake.
Who knows?
Interesting.
So my point is, I think there's just some creativity there, and there's some innovation that could happen within the platform. I don't think we need to be creating new platforms. I think you can actually innovate horizontally underneath these vertical platforms.
So I was looking at the press release when you got announced as CEO, and one of them was like M&A. Like, what do you have permission to add to an iconic portfolio such as this? Is it still
Anything
dairy?
that makes sense. I think better for you, healthier snacking.
Mm-hmm.
Within that framework, I think the world's your oyster. You know, I don't want to get into M&A strategy here, but, you know, spreads could be interesting. There's a lot of things that could be interesting, right? As long as it's probably fruit, veg, dairy-based, or vegetable-based, fruit-based, or dairy-based, and it's minimally processed, and it's using real simple ingredients, and it's nutrient-dense, and fits within healthy, better-for-you snacking, I think, you know, there's a lot of latitude there. I mean, in the end of the day, healthy snacking is the fastest-growing snack segment in the grocery store. We're growing at 2.5 times the category growth.
Why do you think that's the case? It's just portion controlled
Well,
and dairy's a good
listen,
message.
I think if you look at it, not processed, real simple ingredients, portion controlled, GLP friendly, GLP-1 friendly, and then also if you look at the new dietary guidelines, like we're bang right on that reverse pyramid, right? In terms of fruit, veg, dairy.
Sure.
So I think, you know, what I told the team month and a half in, like now's our time. Like the stars have kind of lined up, right? Because we're on the right side of the trend, right side of the truth. We have what people want, and we're kind of on trend, and we're on diet right now, and we're on guideline diet-wise.
Like, let's throw gas on this.
Let's throw gas on it.
Totally.
Let's push it as fast as we can, as hard as we can.
What do you think about this? We are in an interesting moment for food, focus on ingredient quality in the country. But what happens to some of these big food companies? I've been watching commercials the past 2 weeks. They keep popping up on my Amazon for a well-known chip. Let's just leave it at that. That doesn't play
Well-known
into,
chip.
That doesn't play into anything like y'all are doing. I don't want to poo-poo them. Like, what happens to these iconic supermarket brands that cannot play into this? We want to eat better food, and not only we want to do that, they have to play into us using GLP-1s, whether in pill form or shot form.
Yeah, they're going to have to evolve. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you saw we posted our global earnings, 5% net sales growth, which is, you know, more than all the big food companies. And it was unit volume growth. It wasn't just price, right? So a lot of these, you know, big food
They jack up
companies
the price,
are just
the volume's down.
Of course.
Yep.
Look, in the end of the day, I think this is forcing a, you know, kind of a reimagination, a reformulation. It's forcing you know, us to kind of step back and, you know, what do you want to eat moment, in my opinion, right? And the things that are heavy in sodium and heavy in sugar and overly processed are on the wrong side of the trend in truth. It's just a fact, right? And so it could be a fast demise, it could be a slow demise, but eventually, and you see it already, that stuff's going to decline, right?
Does it go away?
It doesn't go away.
Like cereal. What is it like a cereal?
No way. It doesn't go away.
Doesn't go away.
My opinion.
It still serves a
Right?
purpose.
It doesn't. There'll be people that want to eat cereal, and they should be able to eat cereal, right? It's just going to be a smaller addressable market. It's going to be a smaller category. And even within sugar cereal, they're going to have to lose some ingredients that are just on the naughty list, and they're going to have to evolve and change recipes and to stay relevant. But they're losing their relevancy. They're not delivering the nutrition that consumers want and need. They're not on dietary guidelines. They're not on diets, big diets. And so they're not relevant, nearly as relevant as they once were. So it's kind of evolve or die, I think. But, you know, people running these big food companies are very smart, and these companies have a lot of money, and they will do just that. They will evolve, right? By the way, that's okay, because it just makes it better.
Is the vibe overseas the same as in the U.S. in terms of like focus on ingredient quality and health?
Yes. I mean, you know, if you look at Europe, there's way stricter guidelines around sodas and sugary things, and you know they don't allow them in schools, and I think it's even more profound abroad.
What was it? What's it about you and dairy? And what is it about this industry?
Oh, I mean, yeah, because I worked at Chobani. I mean, what a beautiful brand Chobani is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it.
And they have coffee.
Coffee. They have creamers.
Creamers.
Best creamers on the planet. Again, simple, right? In a Tetra Pak, simple. Very few ingredients, not processed. No, it's not dairy in general, right? I mean, Babybel's just not dairy. It's a cup of, you know, milk into one of those little mini Babybels. Chobani, 3 cups of milk to 1 cup of yogurt. It's nutrient dense, right? If you think about yogurt, Greek yogurt was like the original superfood. High protein, low sugar.
Yeah.
Right? And Hamdi was a genius to do that. And he created the whole thing.
That I put on my bagel. because of you. I never told you
Yes.
that. I'm serious. I never had done that, but you and I look, I don't know what I had for dinner like 2 days ago, but I still remember the food you brought me into that Chobani cafe, and one of them was like lox with Chobani yogurt on a bagel. I don't even know how I remember that.
we made our own labneh out of
Maybe
Chobani
that
yogurt.
maybe that was
And you
that was
spread it. Yes.
it was amazing. But till this day, I use Chobani no flavor Greek yogurt on my bagel.
Yeah, plain.
Plain.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. So,
And-
like, what are you doing next? Like, what does your innovation playbook look like for a brand like Babybel, Laughing Cow, anything?
Well, what's interesting is globally, we had over 160 innovations. It's crazy.
Last
Now,
year.
when I say innovation, some of those are line extensions and things like that. So innovation is very, very important when it comes to snacking, right? Because you want to make it easier, more accessible,
Sure.
new formats, new flavors. And so we have a big innovation roadmap that's going to kick in back half of this year. We're going to launch a bunch of new things. And then early next year. So we can talk about that later. I don't want to talk about it right
No,
now.
fair
but
enough.
No. I think innovations, when you're in the snacking category and there's a lot of impulse, and you want to show up, by the way, not only in grocery stores, drug and convenience, you want to show up in airports. I'm not happy with our at-home business. We need to push, we should spend airplanes, right? You know, last time you're on an airplane, they have that basket of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a wasteland. It's like, what is in that
Well,
basket?
they also
Everyone's
could buy
like,
you could buy the cheese platters on Delta too. I'd rather have a Babybel.
oh, and you could have a go-go squeeze
Yeah.
and a Babybel
Yeah.
and a Laughing Cat. So a lot of these are ambient too, so they kind of store very, very well, which lends themselves. But we're not penetrated. But that moment where the person, you know, the flight attendant gives you the basket, you know, everyone's like,
That's like pistachios.
but everyone's like rustling around, like looking for the magic in there, and no one sees anything, and it's like, okay, all right, I got to go to the next person because no one can find anything. It's a complete wasteland.
Yeah.
It'd be great to have Babybel in there.
Yeah, it would
right?
be.
And Laughing Cow. And a go-go squeeze with electrolytes.
Sure.
Dehydrated on a plane.
Any
Need some
drink,
freaking electrolytes.
any drinks in your future? You know, protein-based
Could
drinks? Could be.
Could be.
I'm just making all like the dairy connections in my head. Like whey protein, Babybel cheese, gold lifted dumbbell. Drink this
Dumbbell,
cheese.
Babybel.
Yeah, like it makes sense. Like
Alright.
but I see it. Like I get it.
There's
like,
a million.
some
The
different ways you
point
do.
here is, I think our challenge in the U.S. There's so many opportunities that we need to focus, but we haven't pushed these brands to their fullest. That's what I'm saying. You can innovate within these platforms, right? They're broad enough,
Sure.
right? And there's a lot of creativity you could do.
How hardcore could you get in terms of marketing? I mean, you're known as a master marketer. Last time I talked to you, I remember you were here. We were talking about Joey Chestnut. That was you eating. He was eating Impossible, and that like caused a whole shit show out there for the Nathan's hot dog eating
It
contest.
rocked their world.
Yeah,
Joey Chestnut.
you killed it. Guy
Killed
killed it. It's like,
And it was really cool because it was very unexpected.
but could you do something like that?
Yes,
for
we
the
need to
chew-
do something
like this?
provocative.
Provocative.
That kind of, I told you, these brands are beautiful. They're global brands. They've been around a long, long time. Sleepy, right? I mean, you live in the U.S. like I do. You know them. You've eaten them. But are they in the front of your mind or the back of your mind?
Back of my mind, but they have a warm, fuzzy place in the back of my mind.
100%.
Warm, fuzzy place.
But that is a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
So your feelings are positive feelings, but they're just distant, right? So how do we make these things pop culture? How do we make them more creative? How do they show up in fun, surprising, and delighting ways? How do we get a little Laughing Cows, a little naughty too, like
naughty,
how do we-
naughty laughing cow.
So how do we?
There's my headline. Thanks a lot. Meet the new CEO of Bel North America, making naughty
maybe that's
laughing
not the
cow.
right, exact right language, but you know what I mean.
I know.
And we haven't pushed these. So A, there's product innovation ways that we can push these, and B, there's marketing ways that we can push these brands, right? And again, if you go into Europe where they show up, they're very famous. I mean, in France, they take the top artists and they have them reinterpret the Laughing Cow logo and make them into paintings, and they show up in the Louvre, right?
Wow.
And that's how part of popular, it is inextricably linked as part of culture, right? And we just haven't done that here, which I think is a massive opportunity.
The whole business is obviously very tied to the dairy community. Like, what does the job situation look like for people that are working on farms? Like, is there a next generation? I guess I'm trying to think of like dairy farmers starting to be handed the baton. Like,
Well, listen, I think dairy's up, right? When you start to look at cheese and yogurt and everything like that. And I think milk, the selling of milk and the consumption of fluid milk, not so much. Value-added milk, ultra-filtered milk, yes, that's way up. But just basic dairy milk, right? No one's chugging glasses of dairy
yeah,
milk.
no, those days are done.
But now there's more, cottage cheese is up now.
Yeah.
Think about that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Good Belly, cool company, right?
Yeah.
Yogurt's way up. cheese consumption's way up. So milk as an ingredient making nutrient-dense foods way up. And by the way, dairy will be propped up by the new dietary guidelines, 100%, right? So I think in terms of, at Impossible, it was soy farming, right? So, soy has its challenges, right? But no, I think as we go back to more wholesome foods, natural foods, as we go back to less processed things, I think that bodes well for farmers and farming, my opinion, right? Because that's where the consumer is. Simplicity, real ingredients, not as processed. That's just where people are right now. That bodes well for farmers and farming, my opinion, big time.
I'm a big, well, not big, like to the extent I could. I just love big food history. I like what was that show? Like there was a history, the whole series on the History Channel, like how it was made, or isn't it amazing to you some of the ingredients and how some of these products even came to light? Like you look at some of the ingredients on these boxes, never can't even pronounce them.
Yeah,
it's just amazing how some of these things even exist or even like came to be.
Well, a lot of it goes back to, if you think about it, it goes back to wars and things like that. I mean, we go back to World War I, but they put a lot of bad stuff in there and a lot of preservatives and things like that so that you could ship it. And way back then, you didn't have a great supply chain. You didn't have chilled supply, frozen supply chain. And so it had to withstand kind of temperature abuse and mileage and all that kind of stuff, which I understand back then.
Sure.
Right? And a lot of the factories were built to include all that stuff. And now, who wants to change all those factories? And oh, by the way, with all that stuff in there, it's easier to CIP. You have less, food safety concerns. You have less mold, yeast, all that kind of stuff because it's loaded with stuff that preserve it.
Yeah.
Preserve it, which is the craziest thing.
It's just like
potassium sorbate. Yeah. When you look at the back of the label, potassium sorbate for freshness.
Yeah.
For freshness,
it's
chemical.
It's ridiculous.
Talking about freshness.
We want to see how long it can sit on a shelf. Can it make a year?
But that's lazy production, in my opinion.
Of course.
Right? I remember Chobani. Hamdi was huge. We're not using potassium sorbate. Now, that makes the supply chain more challenging, but that's how you should eat food, fresh. So anyway, I think basically the consumer's changed, supply chains have changed, distribution has changed, and the companies haven't changed.
Yeah. Something's got to give, and like we're at that moment.
Definitely at the moment. It's total inflection point, in my opinion.
Last one before I let you go. So I've known you for a good bit. How do you know as a leader when to make a pivot? So you went from Chobani to Impossible Foods, now Impossible Foods to here. Like, how did you know the time was right to make that transition?
Yeah, I don't know that it's ever right. I think, you follow your heart, you follow, your emotions, and you follow your interests, and you follow your passions. And then you always want to, if you can say to yourself that I'm leaving a wonderful place, and I feel like I had the two eyes, I feel like I had an impact, I feel like I had influence, and I feel like that the company, grew, and I feel like I participated in that and was part of that, and that the company is in a better place than when you started. I think that gives you permission, right, to leave some place that's great and pursue something different and feel good about it. And if you can't say that, that's a whole different story. But look, I think, I'm older. I've been in this business. I've been, running companies probably for 25 years. I don't skip around a lot. They've all been longer trajectory things. I mean, Impossible, wonderful company. I love Impossible. And I still advise them. And, I think, and they're the best plant-based by far brand in all of plant-based. And plant-based will be around forever. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Category might have dips and ebbs and flows. And
I thought it was going to be huge.
Everyone did.
Yeah.
But it'll be around forever.
Sure.
So the question is, who's going to be around forever? And I think that's impossible. Just because of the food, the balance sheet, And, it was a tough call to leave Impossible, but, I still advise them. And
it sounds like instinct. You just know.
Yeah, maybe it's instinct. It's certainly not math. It's certainly not days, weeks, months, years. Certainly not math. I used emotions. I think you're probably right. It's probably instinct.
Good to see you, man. Let's
Good
get
to see you, my man.
let's get those protein drinks out there.
I'm not going to see you in can.
No, yes, well, look, it's tough to sign.
You're going to have to do it without me.
I'll send you some photos.
Rough.
Yeah, it's very rough. Peter, good to see you, man. Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you.
All right, that's it for the latest episode of Opening Bid Unfiltered. Keep hitting me with all those comments and that feedback. I love it all. Makes me better doing these interviews. Talk to you soon.